welcome to Stand Up, Speak Up, and Show Up. And Ruth is coming in from down under. Ruth Smith. This is an easy name to remember, people. And she's wearing blue, and she is going to be talking about healing through water. She is leading Australia in aquatic therapy field. This is really incredible. If you hear about what this woman is doing in water, in the aquatics field for 42 years, right? So she's a maven and a crone in her industry as well. She has traveled the world to study and help and support her industry and her field. Her favorite album, and I know you guys will know this, is Midnight Oil. Who remembers Midnight Oil? And the thing that you may not know about Ruth is that she really, so, you know, she's from down under when we say that she really likes a lolly. She really likes the lolly. And she likes them red. And she made a bet in university. Something about frogs, and you're going to have to tell us. There was something in university, it's got frogs included. Whatever she did, it was so that she could win a red lolly. And she was in university, so this wasn't a 6-year-old, you know what I'm saying, right? She's got some incredible gifts. She's going to be giving a free private session one-on-one, spending some really magical time with her. It's valued over $200. And I've got some questions to ask her, but I think in her topic of the magical mediums of water, one of the questions is, sweetheart, what do you do and how did you end up in this career?
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you everybody for welcoming me into your bedrooms, your kitchens, your offices, wherever, cars, wherever you might be. But to answer that question, I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully the technology gods are on my side again.
Oh, wow, you're really risking it today.
I know, about that. Why not? So it's a short video and then a short story afterwards, just to give you a bit of an idea of what I do. So let's see how I go. All right, that button's not working. Okay. Okay, so hopefully that came through well. Was good. So
oh, good. I'm trying to just hold my tears back. I know the work that you do and the kind of children that you're working with.
Yeah. So the little boy that waved, Sonny, he's nonverbal and many, many challenges. But prior to COVID, he was with me for about 6 months. Then COVID hit, but he was not doing any other therapy at that time. So when COVID hit, nothing happened. They had to take down his swing, which was his, safe place. And his swing hung from a fig tree out the front of his house. But during COVID, he had to take it down. It was unsafe. He kept falling off. And the reason that that was the case was he was no longer doing aquatic therapy. His fine gross motor skills weren't developing, so he couldn't hang on to the swing. His core strength and coordination wasn't there anymore to actually propel himself on the swing, and it became unsafe. So aquatic therapy and the magical medium of water really benefits kids in so many ways on their life on land. The question was asked how I got here. Well, I really think that the career chose me. I think water flows through my veins, quite honestly. And when I was at uni, I was doing sports science. I was headed to the Institute of Sport in Australia to make the fastest swimmers in Australia. That's where I was going, with a science base. But I did an elective that got me working with a pediatric physiotherapist, and she used water as a medium. And it really turned my world around. The way that the body moves in water was fascinating to me at the time. And she was just a really lovely touch point. So throughout my years until now, I was in England. I was fortunate enough to work and volunteer with James McMillan, who created the Hallowick, which is another form of working with handicapped people back then. So that's how old that theory is, that modem. Then coming home, I had lots of touch points. I went overseas to study, America, Canada, doing stuff out of the American Aquatic Therapy Rehab Institute at the moment. But then I bought my own swim school about 10 years ago, and that's where all that came together for me. Somebody asked if I would work with a particular student who was nonverbal, incredibly challenged, but I took on the challenge and I haven't looked back. So it's now word of mouth. So the aquatic therapy for me is around using special equipment, dumbbells, you saw in the video, weights, wrist weights, ankle weights, so that you're looking for safe propulsion, but what's actually going on in the water is proprioception development, there's motor planning, there's coordination, focus, gross and fine motor skills, pro-social skills if we're in the public pool. So there's so much going on in the water for these kids, and then benefits their life on land in so many ways. Yeah.
Ruth, I mean, I was like teary-eyed watching, music as well, was inspiring. Is there anything that you can tell us, or a story that you can tell us? Obviously, you've been going for a number of years now, and like you said, your career found you, and you took on the challenge. So, you're known for working with kids that have differences. And I know that you were sharing when we've been talking for a long time, and how working with you and doing this kind of work, actually parents heard some words for the first time that they'd never heard from their children before. Can you share that story?
Yeah, so a couple of the nonverbal children that I work with, they sometimes will mimic your words or respond with the same words you're using. But on the odd occasion at home, it seems that the parents hear an appropriate word in the conversation from this nonverbal child. So obviously the connection's being made, the synapses are working within the pool, and then they're using the correct word at the correct time in a sentence at home. Or you see, parents have also said that the sibling, so the person that I'm working with, student I'm working with, becomes calmer and is able to play better with their sibling rather than be quite harsh and independent play. It's more parallel play, because that's what's happening in the pool, even though it's one-on-one, where we're doing things parallel together. Yeah, in some cases. So it's quite an eye-opening experience and journey.
I mean, incredibly rewarding, I'm sure, for you and everyone involved. And it's interesting, a lot of pioneers on this summit today, making their way. I always say that our careers find us. Sometimes we find it back against the wall, girlfriend talks us into it, you know what I mean? We get fired, whatever it is. But you say that it found you, and it hasn't left you since it's found you. So you are a woman who's, I relate when I fell in love with aromatherapy 31 years ago, and I decided to do a career. My the people that I thought were my friends thought they were being my friends by going, what are you, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? So they were, you know, in their own supportive way being unsupportive. And I kind of took Dee's approach and went, let's see. But,
Yeah.
but being a woman, new profession, like, what is your industry like for being a woman in your industry? What is it different now? Was it better? Was it advantageous? Was it disadvantageous? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, no, I think it's in this industry, it's advantageous to be a woman. There's men in the industry, not so many men that I know doing aquatic therapy, but in the aquatics industry, there are men, but generalizing, and I'm going to put that out there, I'll be generalizing. Men just don't seem to be able to, we all know this, do many things all at the one time. So when you're in the aquatics industry, you need to be using your intuitions. You know, you need to be really focused and observing what's going on for that child, whether it's facial or their body or how they're feeling under the water, so that you know the next step, the next step, the next step. You know, us women, we're nurturers, whereas men want to fix everything and they want to fix it quickly. So, you know, it's advantageous to be a woman in this field. Very lucky. But it's, as a lot of us are trailblazers, it's kind of lonely because you're not sure where to gather your information. I'm always looking for the next thing that I can be learning, and whether that is required or needed to be put into the actual practice that I'm working through, or I discard it. It's all, some of it's trial and error, but it's I just love the challenge. And when I'm with the kids, it's like I'm in a bubble. It's just them and look, it's just the two of us, almost like a dance, but it's a bubble, and it's life-giving. I'm selfish because I get so much out of this work that I do. You know, it could be viewed as quite selfish in one way.
I noticed in the video that you were tapping on their head. So I'm assuming, and then I saw them come up for air. So is that some of the things that you do and that you teach and that you've been taught? Like, how did you, am I accurate in that, first of all? And second, how did you get to be so experienced in what you do and what works?
Yeah, good question. So the tapping that you see, that is a reminder that they need to come up and take a breath at the appropriate time as well. So you've got to think of these kids, you know, whether it's cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, or autism, ADHD, you know, there's behaviours that they have, or uncoordination, it could be, or low muscle tone, that we need to work with to enable safe propulsion. So, for example, the dumbbells that I was using, they were holding them. That's to give a sensory input to actually know where their arms are in that low gravity medium of water. The same with the wrist weights or the ankle weights. You know, it's to help them realize that they do have two sides to their body, and they actually can feel their arms and legs going through the water in a particular pattern. Other children find it difficult to blow bubbles. You know, it's just part of their condition. So we have to work really hard on whether it's sensory or they're chewing things before they come to the pool. We're blowing bubbles, practicing blowing their nose, all little things like that are really valuable skills to be able to be safe in the water. The other side of what's going on for me, so there's the one-on-one aquatic therapy, but what we're finding in Australia, and I'm finding around the world, because I'm speaking with aquatic professionals via LinkedIn, Zoom when it works, is we're all finding that there's an increase of challenging behaviours coming into our traditional swimming lessons. So a lot of teachers are going, I don't know what to do with this, and they're labelling the children as naughty. Well, they're not naughty. Generally, there's a reason for that behaviour showing up. So if we can understand why the behaviour is presenting, then we can throw in some strategies and techniques and sensory equipment so that everybody can have a successful and progressive session. And if I could give an example there, one of the biggest problems for a lot of, not a problem, but the behaviour of going under the water for some of the students, they're going under the water continually throughout our lessons, popping back up and going, what are we doing? Very common, but there's a reason for that behaviour. They're seeking the pressure, the hydrostatic pressure that's, as we go deeper in the water, there's a pressure that enfolds our body. It's on our joints, it's on our muscles, and the kids feel it. As we get older, we lose that sensation. but it's a calming feeling. The stress hormone is released, the happy hormone kicks in, they come back up to the surface a little bit more calmer and focused. So then we can get them doing a drill. So then why don't we all sit on the bottom during the lesson? Let's all have a group submersion, you know, but we don't. You know, our lessons are too rigid, they're not flexible. So I'm wanting to put some training into the industry that helps teachers work with a group of children who there may be one or two that's showing behaviours that you know we need to work with and accommodate.
So tell us a little bit from how, first of all, how when you say industry, you are probably, for a lot of people here, listening to someone that does this work for possibly the first time. I think we're all familiar with swimming lessons. We're all familiar with, you know, water babies and all that kind of stuff. This may be the first introduction. So how big is your industry or sector? And what does that look like? Like, is it just in Australia? Like what's happening?
So to answer that two ways, so the aquatic therapy in Australia is very new. Of course, there's hydrotherapy, which is huge, but aquatic therapy is, in my view, different to that. And on the other side of it, so to answer that, it's new in Australia, so there's not many of us doing it. In fact, I haven't met anybody yet. I'm training others up though. But in the aquatics industry, in one governing body, there's 33,000 members, which 33,000 teachers of swimming. So that's just one governing body. So you could probably add at least another 10 or 15. So, you know, potentially 50,000 swim teachers out there that are doing this good work. But we're all, 50,000 of us, seeing increase in challenging behaviours, which is really throwing a challenge into the industry for the teachers. So for me, it's not what we're teaching, it's how we're teaching that needs to change. We have to move with the change. The neurodiversity of our students coming in has to be recognised. It's a challenge for our industry, but we need to change how we're teaching, not what we're teaching. So I hope I've answered that question.
You have, and you know what? I got to say that I love how you framed that. Neurodiversity. That's fantastic. I mean, it's a new word for me. So neurodiversity, I love that way of thinking, and I love that reframing. So for you, I mean, look at you, another pioneer. Tell us, from what's that been like? Like, what's it like? You got a big passion, obviously. I hear you, and I've seen you for a while, and you've got this big passion, and it must come with its challenges when you're trying to break ground like that, when you're trying to get people that have been doing it this way to think differently. Like, what's it like, Ruth, trying to conquer this one?
Yeah, it's a big mountain because people are set in their ways. And I get it that big swim schools, you know, if you have a script or a lesson plan, you know, it's a tool that breeds consistency. So yeah, it is difficult. Luckily, I enjoy my own company, so I can get on and do some of this. You know, if people join me, great, but I'm on this anyway. And people are joining me. People are starting to listen. I do have the opportunity in July to speak in Australia at another international conference. So, you know, I'll be controversial again from the stage. But people are falling in behind. They're starting to think, okay, maybe she's got something here. Yeah.
Controversial from the stage. That's another podcast. That's another book. That's your book title. Controversial from the stage. Okay, so what would you like to see happen? Is there anyone doing your work out of Australia?
Sure.
Because I think, yeah, if there is, like, do they come and learn from you? So, you know, take us on a journey 10 years from now. How would you like to see this unfold, and what's needed?
So there are people around. Australia is way behind the rest of the world in this particular field, I believe. So yes, they're doing some good stuff in America. In Canada, they're doing some interesting stuff through the Royal Life Saving Society of Alberta, for example. In England, they're doing some interesting stuff. There's even a fellow I've come across who's Australian, but he's doing some interesting stuff in Indonesia. I'm keen to learn what's happening over there. But what's needed in Australia, I think, what I would love in 10 years' time, or very soon, I would love a purpose-built pool where there's a rock wall that's coming out of the pool so that, you know, we can use that efficiently for the kids. There's swings, there's rope climbs, but along with that, there's rooms where physios and OTs and physios also, and speechies come together, so that's a multidisciplinary approach, so that we collaborate and we move forward with the student in the same direction. Because I think for a lot of us, we're doing the same thing, or a similar thing for the same goal. So if we collaborated, you know, I think that could be an even better system. And alongside that purpose-built tool, you know, the Academy or the Centre of Excellence for Aquatic Therapy, where we can train up people in this field, and then we can have a bigger impact around the world, you know, for students, neurodiverse kids. And yes, if they're coming from overseas and they want to, you know, learn from me, I'm happy to share my knowledge. I think that's part of my push, actually, Deborah, is that I'm a daughter of a farmer and he was self-taught. You know, he tells the story that in year six, he stopped going to school because his horse died. So he learnt everything himself after that. So at 84, he died, but he died with all that knowledge in his head. He didn't, you know, we couldn't get it out of his head. And everybody has that story, I'm sure, but I don't want to be one of those people. I want to make sure that it's out of my head. I can rest in peace, so to speak.
Pass that program on, share that knowledge. And, you know, isn't it interesting that technology for some people today was not necessarily our friend, but it certainly has allowed us. And we hear that often, you know, share, or people are nervous to come onto stage. Like, look, not everybody came racing on here as a speaker today and went, I'm so excited. You know, I couldn't imagine anything else I'd like to do today other than just make myself feel nervous and put myself through this process. But the drive to not leave our legacies with us inside of our head, I think that that was very much a lot of the generation before as well, because they just did what they did. You know, they did it with heart, they did it with that, but they didn't keep archives or, you know, and honestly, isn't it one of the best things looking through a photo album, right? And you'd love to be like, I'd love to hear more about, you know, what it was like. So
yeah, so true, so true. So yeah, I'm fortunate. I've got a colleague in a good friend of mine, and together we're pushing this forward. So I'm not entirely on my own. So that's a good feeling.
That helps, right?
Yes.
That really helps. Wow. Yeah. I'm going to kind of, Angel, I mean, I always get so inspired when I hear Ruth, not only as a woman entrepreneur. First of all, my kid's name's Ocean, so I kind of get the water, you know what I mean? Like, his name's Ocean Kennedy Blue. I don't know. My kids could swim really, really, really soon. And I went all the way up to lifeguard. So I have a love for the water that for me is an emotional component, right? Like, I'll sit in a bath and, like you talked about earlier, Angel, just being able to allow the water to do the job. It's kind of like non-talk therapy, right? But Angel, I'm going to hand it over to you. I've been asking Ruth some questions, and if you'd like to share or ask her.
Yeah, water is so therapeutic. And I think that we're learning just more and more, just kind of discovering how powerful water is. I think there's like these salt tanks, right, that you can go in and float, and it's where they know the sensory thing, right, where that's
flotation tanks with music and the salt will move up, and
right. And so there's so much. So you're changing, right? You're changing the whole industry and changing how people think about water. But the impact, I mean, just now you just sharing and being willing to be the pioneer, changing an industry. I mean, it was like when Uber came along, right, and changed the taxi industry. Airbnb came along and changed the hotel industry. You're coming along and transforming and changing the entire swimming lesson into, like, here's an industry who thought like it needed any changing. Turns out it needs a little bit of a refresher. And here's Ruth Smith, like, at the helm, saying, let me lead this path. You're like votes for women, right? Like, she's in the front of this, and it's very exciting to see that. And you say that, you know, Australia feels behind, but I'm like, they've got Ruth Smith, so they can't be that far behind.
Thanks, Angel. Yeah, thank you. I think also, as probably most of us trailblazers, we don't know what we don't know. I think if we did, we probably wouldn't continue forward, but that's probably a blessing.
Well, and there's so much about stories. Even I was just thinking about, you sharing your story and writing it out and publishing it. And just even if we went back to Dee, like she had them on film, right? We don't look through photo albums anymore because all of our pictures are like on our phones. And so we have to publish our stories and not just have it online and digital, but get it back into print. And I think that I think we're missing something by not having things printed and published, by having it just be digital and all on social and all in the cloud, right?
Yeah,
So
very
much
true.
in the cloud now. It's almost like we have to go back a little bit to the printing and publishing to make sure our story is saved or cherished. Like, I don't know, there's something about we cherish print differently. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think that's part of what I love about it. This is a real connection. Like, it's physical, it's personal, it's you with a person, it's lovely to be speaking and seeing faces, but you're right, it's not a digital expression of who I am. It's a physical, in the bubble, in the moment connection. And as I said before, I think I'm quite selfish with that because I get so much from it. It's keeping me young and challenged.
So you talked about some different terminology. So what's the terminology? What's the language we use to talk about what it is that you're doing?
Neurodiverse. It's a pretty new term. People still get tripped up on special needs, disability, but there's the neurotypical children who are the normal kids, whoever that is, whatever normal is. But the neurodiverse word is the new word for the neurodiversity in our community, whether that's migrants, whether that's people with special needs, whether that's the queer community, whatever it is. But it's the neurodiverse term, so it encompasses all.
Wow. Ruth, I want to ask you, because I know we're kind of coming to the end of it, and I know for a lot of people this is just one piece of information that they never thought about before, right? It's like, oh, didn't know it was happening, didn't know that it was, or you may not know that it's needed. Someone may never have had an experience of knowing a child that's had some challenges and that this could possibly be a solution. So you talked about this goal of what you would like to happen sooner than later, but within 10 years, you'd like to see a center, you'd like to see, practitioners being in sync. And I think we hear a lot of that. I mean, I know that when I had my studio, we had practitioners so that we gave a holistic approach to the people that were walking in the door. And it sounds like you want to give a holistic, encompassing experience. And I know, like we talked earlier, it's not just for the kids, it's also for the family, and also for the neighbors, and also for the, the grandparents and the extension of that family. Because many times it's just as difficult. They're like, they don't know what to do. They don't know what's right. They don't know what's wrong. And I'm sure that you are seen as a beacon of hope, and that you are constantly learning and evolving. So as a community, what can we do? What do you need? I think it's important to put it out there because you've got a lot of women here and men that are on this, that are listening. Like, how can we help move that forward? Who do you need to talk to? What needs to happen? Is there a place that people can donate? Is there a place where people can go get information? Is there a place where people, like, what do you need to have that get started? Do you need to go to Michelle's course on how to start a nonprofit? Do you need to, like, what do you need? What do you need?
Maybe that's a good start, actually, to go to the course, Michelle, that's for sure. I guess I need to gather people around me who know that way forward. I'm a good practitioner, but I'm not good at building pools or receiving money or knowing how to do any of that. Maybe people know who I could talk to here in Australia to start moving that forward. There has to be a process for that, for sure. So I'm willing to, understand that process. And then, of course, money potentially could flow in. It'd be a matter of knowing where to put the site in Australia. I'm on the East Coast, just under the Queensland border. That'd be nice, right there. So all of the above, I would say there, Deb.
Okay. Well, I think this is the place to put it out. And I hope that you guys are using the chat to do the same thing. I mean, I know that all of the speakers and authors, we get together once a month and it's called, and you may not know what Girl Guides is, depending on where you are in the world, but we call it the Millionaire Girl Guides Summer Camp. And it is the place that we get to come be transparent. What's going on? And ask. Woo,
Yeah.
there's something different. Just ask. Just ask, right? You know, you can call it a mastermind, you can call it whatever you want. We're just getting together, you know, having wine, non-wine, tea, you know, whatever. Erin's having a burger, and we're just asking for what we need and then seeing the magic. Because you talk about the magical mediums of water. I'm kind of thinking the magical mediums of Ruth Smith right now.
Yeah.
So there it is. There it is.